The Hittites, one of history's great empires, shaped the ancient Near East with their powerful armies, victories, and majestic cities. But what historical and political forces laid the groundwork for the rise of this powerful civilization? To understand the Hittites, we need to go back in time, to the early Bronze Age, around 1,500 years before their rise. In Anatolian archaeology, the early Bronze Age is generally dated between 3000 and 2000 BCE. Long before the rise of the Hittites, diverse yet interconnected communities emerged across the region. These early societies laid the cultural and political foundations of Anatolia's first civilizations. The Hittite population and culture were deeply rooted in the legacy of three major Anatolian groups, the Luwians, the Hurrians, and the Hattians, who had long shaped the region's social and political landscape. The Hattians stand out as one of the oldest civilizations in the region. Concentrated mainly in central Anatolia, they deeply influenced the Hittites, especially in religious and cultural aspects. In fact, the Hittites even referred to themselves as the kings of the land of Hatti. The Hattians primarily inhabited the Kizilirmak basin. While they never formed a centralized state, they founded cities and built temples. Sacred sites such as Hattusha and Alajahayuk emerged in this landscape, forming the core of Hattian cultural heritage. Hattusha was a much smaller city compared to its size during the Hittite period. Under the Hattian reign, settlement in Hattusha was centered in the area known as Buyukale. This area would later become the palace district of the Hittite kings. The Luwians were another important group. They were an Indo-European people who are believed to have arrived in the region around 2300 BCE. They influenced the Hittites, especially in language and religious traditions. The Hurrians were first mentioned in the mid-3rd millennium BCE in Akkadian records. Originally based in northern Iraq, the Hurrians gradually expanded their reach to the Mediterranean coast and the Levant. Hurrian religious beliefs and rituals had a deep impact on Hittite culture, shaping many aspects of their mythology and ceremonies. For example, Teshup was an important god in the Hittite pantheon, originally a Hurrian storm deity. The religious influence of the Hurrians on the Hittites can also clearly be seen at Yazilikaya, the sacred sanctuary near Hattusha, where many deities with Hurrian origins are depicted. But the group that influenced the Hittite state the most was, of course, the people from whom the Hittite kings traced their lineage. This group, often referred to as the Proto-Hittites, was one of the Indo-European peoples who migrated to Anatolia at the end of the 3rd millennium BCE. Shortly after the arrival of the Proto-Hittites, Anatolia entered a period of major cultural and economic change. This era is known as the Assyrian trade colonies period. During this time, writing was introduced to Anatolia by Assyrian merchants, along with new trade practices and legal traditions. Trade in Anatolia was organized through Assyrian merchant districts known as Karam and smaller stations called Wabatam, which were established near important cities. Among these settlements, Karnesh stood out as a key hub for Assyrian merchants, playing a central role in the trade networks of Anatolia. Karnesh was unquestionably the most significant center in Anatolia before the rise of the Hittites. This city, located at the foothills of Mount Erciyes, is about 20 kilometers from present-day Kayseri. Situated in a fertile plain, the settlement was not only an important trade center but also served as the main distribution point for goods spreading across a wide region. The city was stronger than other Anatolian cities and held economic, as well as political influence over them. But this political influence was limited and the kingdoms mostly acted independently within their own territories. One of these kingdoms was Kusara, believed to have been founded by an Indo-European people. It later played a key role in the rise of the Hittites. Known as the center of the Proto-Hittites, this city had its own Karam, but its exact location remains unknown. There are several theories regarding the location of Kusara. One places it southwest of Karnish, within modern-day Tufan Bailey region. Other theories point to the Antitaurus region, the area near Hattusha, or Yela Hiyuk by Lake Salt. However, the strongest theory places it east of Karnish, an area between modern-day Guruan and Sivas. Pitana is known as the earliest recorded king of Kusara. He is believed to have ruled in the early 18th century BCE. He was a brave, determined, and clever king who sought to expand his territory. However, Kusara had limited room for expansion. North of Anatolia, semi-nomadic tribal confederations such as the Kashgar inhabited the region. These tribes lacked a centralized political structure and lived in scattered settlements across mountainous and forested areas. These lands were impoverished and located in a rugged terrain that was difficult to conquer. To the south lay the powerful kingdom of Yamhad and its vassal cities. Challenging Yamhad, a strong political power, would not have been a wise move. To the west, there were city-states belonging to the Hattians. These cities were not very weak, but they lacked political unity. This must have made them a target for Pitana. Pitana had made his decision. The target was the lands to the west. The conquests began without delay. Pitana's initial goal was to seize the territories between Karnish and Kusara. By conquering these lands, he established a frontier with the city of Karnish. It would be his next target. Historical sources suggest that the attack likely occurred around 1774 BCE. The record suggests that the attack was carried out as a night raid. The people of Karnish must have been caught off guard. After a night of fighting, the city was taken by the people of Kusara. After the conquest, Pitana took control of Karnish. However, little is known about his life afterward, and he likely died of natural causes in either Kusara or Karnish. Pitana was succeeded by his son Anita. He shared his father's goal of capturing central Anatolia. After Anita took the throne, a rebellion broke out in Karnish. The new king's authority was clearly being tested. After crushing the rebellion, Anita moved his capital to Karnish to cement his rule. There, he built two great temples, symbols of power and permanence. But other Hattian kingdoms in Anatolia were worried about the rapid expansion of the Kusarians. To stop them, they formed an alliance. According to written sources, the alliance was led by Hazia, king of Zalpa. While multiple cities named Zalpa existed during this period, this particular Zalpa is believed to have been located in the fertile plain where the Kizilmark River flows into the Black Sea. This alliance likely encompassed the Kizilmark River basin. This region was the area where the Hattians lived most densely, and they were determined to protect it. It can be said that many kingdoms in the basin also took part in this alliance. Anita launched a military campaign with his army. But his main goal was to march directly to Zalpa. We don't know what kind of defense was planned by the alliance. But the king of Zalpa probably wasn't expecting a sudden attack. Anita laid siege to Zalpa. After breaching its defenses, he burned and destroyed the city. Zalpa King Hazia was captured alive and taken to Karnish. With the fall of Zalpa, the allied forces were utterly crushed. So almost all the territories between Karnish and Zalpa fell into Anita's hands. But the wars would not end here. The next target was Hattusha. Hattusha became rich and strong during the colony period, and it was the most important city in the area. It was ruled by a Hattian king named Payusti. He had once been part of the Zalpa alliance. The city had strong walls and many natural defenses. Its main part was on top of a hill, and steep slopes protected it from the east. Approaching the city from the east was nearly impossible because of a deep natural ravine. Meanwhile, the west, north, and south sides lay along a ridge, which posed serious challenges for deploying siege engines. The main settlement on the hill was likely protected by a second, weaker line of fortifications. Although this cannot be confirmed by direct archaeological evidence, it remains a plausible scenario given the topography and defensive needs. Probably because of these difficulties, Anita avoided a direct attack and chose to cut off the city by controlling its gates, aiming to starve it into surrender. Every route out of the city was likely surrounded and controlled from the outside, cutting off any chance of escape or resupply. But when they were dying of hunger, their goddess Halmasut handed the city over to me, and I took it in a night attack. I sowed weeds on its land. Whoever becomes king after me and resettles Hattusha, may the storm god of heaven strike him down. Hattusha was destroyed and there was no more fighting in the area. Without wasting any time, Anita turned west. This time, his target was the city of Salachawar in the northwest. Anita captured this city, destroyed it, and then returned to Karnish with a large amount of gold and silver. The king of Saliwatara had barely escaped with his life. This escape would one day lead to another reckoning. But for now, the target was the powerful city of Purushanda, located in the Far East. There are various speculations regarding the location of Purushanda. The two most prominent candidates are Ajamhoyuk in Aksaray and Uchoyuk, located in the Bolvedin district. Of these two, Uchoyuk stands out as the more likely site. However, when Anita marched to besiege the city, he encountered an unexpected outcome. The king of Purushanda chose to surrender rather than go to war with Kusara. When I went to war, the man of Purushanda brought me gifts. He offered a throne of iron and an iron sword. But when I returned to Karnish, I took him with me. That man shall sit at my right side. With this final conquest, almost all of central Anatolia came under the control of Kusara. But the period following Anita remains obscure, as we lack sufficient sources. Yet after this silence, the dynasty of Kusara will rise again in Hattusha, and under the leadership of Hattusili, the Hittite kingdom will emerge onto the stage of history.